Hello, everyone. Well, that's just what we needed, just for fun. A damage and strike on the Chernobyl site. It just, it just keeps going, doesn't it? Anyway, moving right along. In the next couple of days, I'm sure the news is going to be dominated by the security conference in Munich, and quite likely, the war in Ukraine and Trump's attempts to force Ukraine to capitulate, let's call it what it is going to be on the agenda right there at the top. Obviously, Zelensky is going to be there. He'll be meeting with J.D. Vance. And I'm not sure how productive that's going to be. Here is the issue. And France's Emmanuel Macron verbalized it. Capitulation. What U.S. is asking Ukraine to do is capitulate to Russia. That is the problem. In the interviews, in the press conferences, in separate statements between Donald Trump, Pete Hegseth, and J.D. Vance, not one of them had acknowledged that Russia is in the wrong here. That is a problem. There was an interview with Pete Hegseth yesterday, and the reporter interviewing him asked repeatedly, what is Russia going to give up? What is the impact to Russia if they stop murdering Ukrainian civilians? Because once again, let's call it like it is. And not once did Pete Hegseth provide any kind of specific answer. When the reporter pointed out that Ukraine is the wronged party here and is about to lose 20% of its territory, Hegseth happily said, well, we said both sides would have to make concessions. The reporter immediately reiterated, okay, what concessions is Russia making? And Hegseth's answer was, well, we just think it's time to negotiate. So the answer, in fact, is none. Russia will be making no concessions if Ukraine accepts these terms. And that is capitulation. And European leaders are right to ask, how is Russia to be held accountable for maintaining the ceasefire? For not just using this time to regroup, accumulate more weapons, more troops, etc., and just continuing to move on. Because remember, this is not new. None of this is new. First of all, as I've encouraged people many times, read the history of Russian expansion. When the Princedom of Moscovia had split off from Kiev, which was already the developed states at the time, it was a tiny, tiny little postage stamp. And look at it now. Now, Russian historians who had spent the last 25 years trying to rewrite history insist that the territories Russia had acquired in this time, in the last 1,000 years, or thereabouts, this is all just self-defense, right? That it was attacked, and sometimes it was. But it basically insists that, oh, no, we were just defending ourselves and then accidentally took up 1/6 of land mass existent on Earth. Whoops. So, this is not new. The precursor to what is happening today in Ukraine actually took place in 2005 when Russia hacked off Chechnya. Then 2014, Crimea. They got away with both. So what's to stop them doing more? and they kept on going. That is what happened. So right now, the signal being sent to Russia is that they can keep taking more and more and more and more. They can commit whatever atrocities they want. They can slaughter civilians. They can rape women and girls. And they can just get away with it. That is the message being sent. And my question to everybody is, why are you okay with it? So, yeah, Trump had acknowledged that Russia has taken over a piece of territory, but he is saying, well, Russia just doesn't want Ukraine joining NATO, and Trump says that Biden and Zelensky both agreed that that's how Russia was provoked. That is a lie. Neither of them ever said such a thing. And why? Why should Russia dictate how another sovereign country conducts its business with other countries? What business is it of Russia? What Ukraine does, Ukraine is a separate country with its own people, its own government. What business is it of Russia's to dictate to Ukraine what alliances it can and cannot enter? That is bullshit. So, as I mentioned before, multiple sources are mentioning, the potential meeting between Zelensky and J.D. Vance. I am not expecting anything much, anything positive. It's just going to be more words, more demagoguery. Zelensky is also expected to meet with Secretary of State Rubio. So here's the deal. One of the summaries yesterday that I've read of Trump's communications with Putin was that, Zelensky was understandably disappointed that he was not contacted first. Because, again, Ukraine is the wronged party here. Zelensky also rightfully pointed out that how can you negotiate anything without one of the participants? So, the summary that came out said basically that Trump and Putin are going to talk it over, and then they're going to inform Ukraine separately about what they have decided. Let that sink in for a second. They're just going to basically tell Ukraine, this is what you're doing now. Now, Ukraine can refuse and say, nope, we're going to keep fighting. But the only way that's possible is that if all of Europe throws their weight behind Ukraine without the U.S. participation. And yeah, there are pros and cons to that proposition. The biggest concern Europe should have now, and I'm sure they already do, is if Russia is not stopped now, are the Danes correct? Because the Danes, actually the government of Denmark, predicted that if we don't stop Russia now, if Ukraine capitulates, Europe should be preparing for an all-out war with Russia in 5 years. I would listen to them. Denmark may not be the biggest country in the world, but they have a very long history, including the history of war. So they know a thing or two about that. I would listen to them. And again, check over your United States. It's not your friend anymore. Stop listening to them. Europe, you're there. You're in the front row, right there, watching this war unfold. It's up to you.